This is definitely something you need to be aware of, that Suno and Udio are now thumb printing tracks. This is very interesting. And what's funny, for my dedicated subscribers, if you remember, I think it was last year even, I predicted this would happen. I mentioned in a few videos at least, I'm like, oh, you know what? I could see in the future with the way technology is that maybe they could do some kind of musical thumbprint. And it isn't that hard to do, to be honest. There's a way you can do it using different things on the EQ spectrum or spectrum analysis, in a sense, where you do a certain maybe tone or code or something where it's inaudible, where if you listen to it, you can't notice it's there, but there's some kind of like pattern that's maybe outside of the hearing spectrum, but still on the EQ spectrum, so to speak, that can easily be detected via other software that's essentially a musical thumbprint stating this track has been made by an AI music generator. And this is actually pretty big. Like I said, this is something I actually did predict. And the main reason why is this. One, I do think with AI music generators getting more popular by the day and getting better. I've done a bunch of videos about Suno. Suno 4.5 is crazy. Of course, Udio is a phenomenal platform as well. For me, I'm more of a Suno guy. No affiliation with either one, to be honest. But this to me doesn't surprise me because, one, you are seeing a lot of people releasing AI music. And with Suno and Udio, there has been this whole can of worms. I'm going to stress, I'm not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one. There has been this whole can of worms of the legality of releasing AI music, copywriting it, et cetera, et cetera. And so I think in general, one, maybe Suno and Udio do want to see or have the ability, I think maybe is a better way to word this, to track where their songs are being played, where they're going, and basically be in the know of, is this something that we made or is this made by a human? And this to me brings up a lot of interesting questions. One, on the fact of their end, they want to know so they can track it just in case for whatever purposes they have. But then two, I think, and especially two, is if you're releasing music on the distribution side. For example, could it be that in the future, and this would not surprise me, to give another prediction, that maybe Suno works with DistroKid, for example, or Spotify and says, hey, we're going to kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look of the way this thumbprint works, and we're going to give you access to our thumbprint detection technology and our thumbprint algorithms. And that way, when someone goes to release a song on DistroKid, the song goes through a AI detection filter, so to speak, and before they release it, DistroKid maybe flags it, maybe in a good or a bad way, or maybe just a FYI way saying, hey, you can release this, but just letting you know, we're going to market that it's made by AI. I think that's where this could go, because I did a video about Deezer. What Deezer has done, which I feel like is, I think, a good step in the right direction, I'll be honest, is they now have their own detection software that they kind of created to determine if a song is made by AI. I will say this becomes a bit of a cat and mouse game, but we'll talk about in a second. But the way it works on Deezer is if you release a song, they have software to determine if it is made by a human or AI. If it is determined that it's made by AI, one, it says it. Hey, this is made by AI. Two, the big thing is they kind of say, hey, you can still leave it on Deezer. You can still make money from it, but we're not going to recommend it in our algorithmic playlists. Meaning, as we all know, for most streaming services now, they do the whole thing of, hey, if you like this song, you might like this song. If you like this song, you might like this song. That's the way it typically works for a lot of these services. And as you can imagine, a lot of these services want to promote more human-made music than AI-made music, right? And it makes sense. So Deezer's policy is, hey, you can leave it up there. You can leave this AI song on Deezer. You can make money from it. We don't care. But we're just not going to recommend it. If, like, say, someone wants to listen to EDM or rock or pop or country, we're not going to recommend it in an algorithmic playlist or as a next suggestion, because we only want to promote human artists. And I can see a lot of other companies following suit, and I do kind of like that concept, because if you think about it from a producer or, let's say, a musician's versus a listener's perspective, I've gotten a lot of comments on this channel from a lot of people who don't really produce, don't really make music. They're kind of interested in it, but they're not invested in it, the way I am or maybe you are. And they said, hey, Mark, I'm not gonna lie. If it's a banger, it's a banger. Like, I don't care. Like, if I listen to a song and I'm like, oh, this is a great rock record, and I'm listening to it, and then I later find out it's made by AI, doesn't bother me. I'm just like, oh, it's made by AI? It's kind of funny. That's kind of cool. Who cares? And I'll say this, and it's kind of tough that I know right now in this day and age, a lot of musicians are saying, oh, AI can't capture the essence, the elegance, the creativity, the magic of humans regarding music. I disagree. Respectfully, I disagree. I know this may be an unpopular opinion, but part of me says, are you saying that because you believe it? Or are you saying that because you don't want to face the truth that, hey, at the end of the day, songs are algorithms. Circular fifths, music theory, chords, scales, lyrics writing, melody structures, it's an algorithm. And yes, there's a certain amount, of course, there's a certain amount of creativity that goes into making music, but in my opinion, it's still all algorithmic in a sense. And this is why if you look at Suno's made some crazy bangers, right? And I mean, to say the least, actually, Suno's made some insane songs that I've been kind of messing around with. I've done videos about this. And so jumping back to the main point of this video, with all that being said, there are some people who are saying, all right, with all these songs being amazing, being great, and listeners not really caring if it's AI or human, should we at least, in some way, shape, and form, let the listener know it's made by AI? And I think so. That may be an unpopular thing, but I think with Suno and Udio really going hard on this thumbprint detection system, I also got a comment about it as well, like I showed you in the beginning of this video. With Suno and Udio going so hard on this and really doing this, I think it's good because I can see them, like I said, in the future, working with distributors like DistroKid or streaming services like Spotify to give them access to this algorithm or give them a tool that is able to detect it. And then that way we know if it's AI or not. And here's the interesting thing. I kind of wonder how intricate this goes. Now, if I download a song on Suno and I upload it, it has a musical thumbprint, that makes sense. But then I think, and I did a video about this a few days ago, I think, or maybe last week, whenever it was, that for the first time ever, I released a song that was made by AI under my human project, which is Frachero. I have the Infinite Lamb Chop, all my AI music, and then Frachero, my human-made music. And I love the song so much, I did the advanced stems extraction feature on Suno. So got all the stems, brought it into Ableton. I adjusted a bunch of things. I mixed it. I mastered it. I adjusted some elements. So I kind of tweaked it. It took me about a few hours. So it's not like I just downloaded it and then uploaded it. But then I wonder, do those advanced stems, do those stems from the stems advanced extraction feature, do those stems have a musical thumbprint or not? Because now I'm kind of wondering, I would hate for on Frachero, one of my songs hit flag against AI. Granted, technically was made by AI, so I guess tomato at that point. But it is an interesting question because what and how will stores respond to this, that I don't know. But I think by having some kind of thumbprint and some kind of detection feature like this, I think it's definitely demonstrating that there is, from at least Suno and Udio's perspective, a need or purpose or use to understand when a song's out there that you can find out if it's made by them. And then I wonder, you're looking at, again, chicken before the egg, where who knows, maybe someone in the future, probably, will make some kind of feature where they say, hey, here's a way to remove that musical thumbprint. I found a way to hack it and figured out the algorithm, and you put it in this program and it removes it. Could turn into that kind of game almost of like how programmers will make a software, hackers will try to hack it and find a crack for it, so to speak, and then the programmers patch it, and then it's this back and forth thing. Could that happen? I don't know. But I think with Suno and Udio doing this, I think it is kind of something that I could see spreading to stores, especially with Deezer creating their own algorithmic software to do this. And Deezer has stated, based off their own research, that about 10% of songs right now uploaded to Deezer are made by AI. I think that's way higher. I'll be honest. I think that's way higher. And I could see Suno and Udio going to Deezer, going to Spotify, going to them, like I said, and saying, hey guys, rather than you make your own software like Deezer did, and it might be right, it might be not, who knows if you get a false negative or a false positive, just use our software, or even maybe DistroKid, before they even release it, has its filter, like I've talked about, then maybe it has to go through the software, it says if it's AI or not, and that determines in some way, shape, and form how the music is distributed. Again, this is just something to be aware of, because I think with AI music generators kind of being like the wild, wild west right now, and especially, like I've said in a few videos, that a lot of people now are using it, not because they like the music or because they want to, put unique songs out there or whatever. They're doing it because they want to make money. A lot of people now are looking, and there's a ton of YouTube videos about this, they're looking at AI music generators and music distribution as the next big get-rich-quick scheme. They're like, hey, you just go on to DistroKid, $24 a year. Suno is $10 a month. You upload 10, 15, 20 songs a day if you want to, if you really want to hustle, because it's hustle culture, so to speak. You can bring in 10 extra $1,000 a month or whatever. Very unrealistic, right? But again, this is something that is currently happening, and it's happening more and more and more. And I think as this musical thumbprint starts to become more popular and more, aware, I think both as people who create the songs, the AI music generators, but especially the distribution services like DistroKid, CD Baby 2, and Core Ditto, and also the streaming services themselves like Apple Music, Spotify. This is something that I could see, especially in the soon-to-be future, changing the game completely.